Captain Jake Martinez stood on the bridge of the ship New Horizon. He looked out at the stars through the big window. Today was special. Today, humans would meet aliens for the first time. Not just any aliens, but the Zephyrian Empire. They were famous across the galaxy for being strong fighters. Jake felt nervous. He had been a ship captain for 15 years, but this was different. This meeting could change everything for humans. If it went well, Earth would have new friends. If it went badly, Earth might have new enemies. Captain, said Lisa Thompson. She was the cultural liaison officer. Her job was to help humans and aliens understand each other. The Zephyrian ship is coming closer. They will be here in 1 hour. Jake nodded. Are we ready? Yes, sir. I have studied their culture for months. The Zephyrians respect strength, above all else. They think fighting makes you worthy. They do not like weak people. This worried Jake. Humans were not known for being the strongest species in the galaxy. They were not the biggest or the fastest either, but they were smart and could work together well. Dr. Kevin Adams walked onto the bridge. He was the ship's expert on alien life. Captain, I just finished reading all our information about the Zephyrians. They are impressive. They stand 8 feet tall. They have skin like armor. Each one has 4 arms with sharp claws. Sounds scary, said Jake. They are warriors, Kevin explained. Their whole society is based on fighting and winning. They think the strongest should lead. The weak should follow or die. Lisa looked worried. This could be a problem. Humans are smaller than them. We are not as strong physically, but we are not weak, Jake said firmly. We just show our strength in different ways. The ship's communications officer, Amy Parker, spoke up from her station. Captain, we are getting a message from the Zephyrian ship. Put it on the main screen, Jake ordered. The screen lit up. A huge alien face appeared. It had dark blue skin that looked like metal plates. 4 yellow eyes stared at them. When it spoke, its voice was deep and rough. I am War Marshal Kethvar of the Zephyrian Empire. We come to meet with the humans. Prepare for our arrival. The screen went black. Well, said Jake. That was friendly. Lisa shook her head. He did not even wait for us to answer. That shows he thinks we are not important. 1 hour later, the Zephyrian ship docked with the New Horizon. Jake waited in the main meeting room with his best officers. Lisa stood beside him, holding a tablet with notes about Zephyrian customs. Kevin was there too, ready to answer any questions about human biology. The doors opened. War Marshal Kethvar walked in first. He was even bigger than Jake had expected. Behind him came 5 other Zephyrian warriors. They moved like hunters, always ready to fight. Welcome to the New Horizon, Jake said. He tried to sound confident. Kethvar looked around the room. His 4 eyes seemed to judge everything they saw. So you are the humans. You are smaller than I thought. Size is not everything, Jake replied. The alien made a sound that might have been laughter. In the galaxy, only the strong survive. The weak become food or slaves. Lisa stepped forward. We hope our species can become friends. Humans have much to offer. What can you offer? Asked another Zephyrian warrior. You have no great weapons. Your ships are small. Your bodies are soft. Jake felt his anger rising, but he stayed calm. We have survived on a dangerous planet for thousands of years. We are tougher than we look. Your planet is dangerous? Kethvar seemed interested now. Kevin spoke up. Earth has many predators, extreme weather, natural disasters, diseases. Yet humans not only survived, we thrived. Interesting, the War Marshal said. But surviving and fighting are different things. The meeting continued for 2 more hours. The Zephyrians asked many questions about human technology, military strength, and population. They seemed disappointed by most of the answers. Humans did not have the biggest guns or the fastest ships. Their army was not the largest in the galaxy. As the formal talks ended, Jake could see the aliens thought humans were weak. They were polite, but barely. It was clear they did not see humans as worthy allies. "We will consider what you have told us," Kethavar said as he prepared to leave. Jake knew he had to do something. These aliens respected strength, but they did not understand human strength yet. "War Marshal," Jake called out. "Before you go, would you and your warriors like to join us for a traditional human gathering tonight?" The alien turned around. "What kind of gathering?" "A feast. It is how humans celebrate and bond with each other. It would honor us if you would attend." Kethvar looked at his warriors. They seemed amused by the invitation. "Very well. We will see how humans gather." After the aliens left, Lisa looked worried. "Captain, what are you planning?" Jake smiled. "I am going to show them what human strength really looks like. Kevin, tell Chef Rodriguez to prepare the biggest barbecue feast she has ever made." "A barbecue?" Kevin looked confused. "Trust me," Jake said. "Sometimes the best way to show your strength is not with weapons or threats. Sometimes you need to show people what you are fighting to protect." War Marshal Kethavar walked back to his ship with his 5 warriors. They talked in their own language as they moved through the corridors. "Did you see how small they are?" said Sub-Commander Veltas. He was the youngest warrior in the group. "I could break one of them with just one hand." "They are pathetic," agreed another warrior named Jexhan. "No claws, no natural armor, no fangs. How did such weak creatures survive long enough to build spaceships?" Kethvar nodded slowly. "They claim their planet is dangerous, but they look soft. Perhaps their machines do all the fighting for them." "Should we even bother with this feast?" asked Veltas. "It will probably be boring." "We go," Kethvar decided. "It is good to see the enemy's weakness before we report back to the Empire. The High Command needs to know these humans are not worth our time." Back on the New Horizon, Captain Jake Martinez called all his senior staff to the bridge. Word was already spreading through the ship about the alien visitors. "Listen, everyone," Jake announced. "Tonight we host the Zephyrians for dinner. This is not just a meal. This might be the most important dinner in human history." Chef Maria Rodriguez raised her hand. "Captain, what should I cook? I do not know what aliens eat." Dr. Kevin Adams pulled out his tablet. "According to our scans, they can eat the same foods we can. Their digestive systems are similar to ours." "Good," said Jake. "Maria, I want you to cook like you are feeding your own family. Make it special. Make it memorable." Maria smiled. "I understand, Captain. What kind of special meal?" "Barbecue," Jake said without hesitation. "The biggest, best barbecue this ship has ever seen." Security Chief Ryan Bennett looked confused. "Sir, how will a barbecue impress alien warriors?" "You will see," Jake promised. "Ryan, I need you to help set up the main recreation room. Move the tables around, make space for everyone to sit together." "Yes, sir," Ryan said, still looking puzzled. Jake turned to Amy Parker, the communications officer. "Amy, I want you to monitor all alien communications during the feast. Do not translate for them unless they ask. I want to hear their real thoughts." "Understood, Captain." Engineer Carlos Silva stepped forward. "Captain, do you want me to fire up the big grills in the recreation area?" "Yes, Carlos, get everything ready. This feast needs to smell amazing." Dr. Nicole Foster, the medical officer, looked worried. "Captain, should I prepare the medical bay in case the aliens have bad reactions to our food?" "Good thinking, Nicole, but I do not think we will need it. Kevin checked their biology. They should be fine." As the crew scattered to prepare, Lisa Thompson stayed behind with Jake. "Captain," she said quietly, "I am worried. The Zephyrians think we are weak. What if this feast makes them think we are even weaker? What if they see cooking as something only soft people do?" Jake looked out at the stars. "Lisa, do you know why humans became the dominant species on Earth? Because we are smart? Partly. But mostly because we learned to work together. We learned to share. We learned to take care of each other. That is real strength." Meanwhile, in the ship's kitchen, Maria Rodriguez was planning the biggest meal of her career. She had been cooking for 20 years, but never for aliens. "Let me see," she said to herself, looking at her supplies. "I have steaks, ribs, chicken, and fish. I have corn, potatoes, and vegetables. I have all my spices and sauces. Her assistant, Tony Clark, helped her carry supplies. Chef, how much food should we make? Enough for 50 people, Maria decided. The aliens are big, they probably eat a lot. She started with the meat. First, she prepared thick steaks and covered them with her special seasoning mix. Then she got the ribs ready, with a dry rub that would make the meat tender and flavorful. The chicken got marinated in herbs and spices. Tony, start cutting the vegetables. We need corn on the cob, potato skins, and grilled peppers. What about dessert? Tony asked. Apple pie, Maria said immediately. And ice cream. If we are showing off human food, we do it right. In the recreation room, Ryan Bennett and his security team rearranged all the furniture. They pushed tables together to make one long dining area. Carlos Silva worked on the grills, making sure they would get hot enough to cook everything perfectly. This is strange, Carlos said to Ryan. I have never seen the captain so focused on a meal before. He knows something we do not, Ryan replied. The captain always has a plan. Dr. Adams worked with Amy Parker to set up translation equipment around the room. They wanted to understand everything the aliens said, even when they thought humans were not listening. Kevin, Amy asked, what do you think will happen? I do not know, Kevin admitted. But I trust the captain. He has never let us down before. As evening approached, the smells from the kitchen began to fill the ship. The grills were heating up. Maria was preparing her sauces. Everything was almost ready. The Zephyrian warriors were getting ready too. They put on their best armor and sharpened their claws. They expected a boring meal with bland human food. Remember, Kethavar told his warriors, we are here to observe. Watch how they eat. See if they show any signs of real strength. I doubt it, but we must be sure. What if their food tastes bad? Asked Velthus. We eat it anyway, Kethavar ordered. We show no weakness, even if we must pretend to enjoy their pathetic meal. Captain Jake Martinez checked his watch. In 1 hour, the most important dinner in human history would begin. He just hoped his plan would work. Maria, he called to the kitchen. How does everything smell? Like heaven, Captain, Maria called back. Like pure heaven. The recreation room of the New Horizon had been transformed. Long tables were set up with chairs for both humans and aliens. The grills were hot and ready. The smell of cooking meat filled the air. Captain Jake Martinez stood near the entrance, waiting for his guests. The human crew was excited but nervous. They all understood this meal was important, even if they did not know exactly why. Chef Maria Rodriguez checked everything one last time. The steaks were perfectly seasoned and ready to grill. The ribs had been slow cooking for hours and smelled incredible. Bowls of potato salad, corn on the cob, and fresh bread covered the tables. Everything looks perfect, Maria, Jake told her. I hope they like it, Captain, Maria replied. I put my heart into this meal. The doors opened. War Marshal Kethvar entered first, followed by his 5 warriors. They wore their finest armor and walked with the confident stride of experienced fighters. Then something unexpected happened. As soon as the aliens stepped into the room, they stopped moving. All 6 Zephyrians froze in place like statues. Their 4 eyes went wide. Their nostrils, which were larger than human noses, began to twitch rapidly. Welcome to our feast, Jake said, walking toward them. Please come in and sit down. But the aliens did not move. They stood perfectly still, staring at the room. Their breathing became faster and louder. Sub-Commander Velthas began to shake. His claws extended from his fingers without him meaning to do it. The other warriors looked, confused and scared. Is everything all right? Asked Lisa Thompson, stepping closer to the group. War Marshal Kethvar tried to speak, but only strange sounds came out. He took a step backward, then another. His warriors did the same. Dr. Kevin Adams noticed the aliens' strange behavior immediately. Captain, he whispered, their bio-readings are going crazy. Heart rates way up, stress hormones spiking. What is wrong with them? Jake whispered back. Amy Parker was listening to her translation equipment. The aliens were speaking in their own language and their words were being translated. "Captain," Amy said quietly, "you need to hear this. The young one, Velthas, just said, 'What is this sorcery?' And another one said, 'How is this possible?'" Jake looked confused. "Sorcery? What are they talking about?" Maria Rodriguez noticed the aliens were not moving toward the food. "Should I start serving?" she asked. "Wait," Jake said. Something strange was happening and he needed to understand what. War Marshal Kethvar finally managed to speak. His voice shook as he talked. "Human captain, what is this place?" "This is our dining room," Jake answered. "We prepared a feast for you." "Feast?" Kethvar repeated the word like it was foreign to him. "Yes, a meal. Food to eat together." The alien pointed with a trembling claw at the grills where meat was cooking. "That smell. What causes that smell?" Jake looked at Maria, who looked back at him with confusion. "The smell? That is just the food cooking. Grilled meat with spices." "Spices?" Another warrior named Jexhan spoke up. "What are spices?" Now it was the humans who looked confused. Dr. Adams stepped forward carefully. "War Marshal, what do your people normally eat?" Kethvar's breathing was still fast and shallow. "We eat nutrition paste. It provides all necessary elements for survival." "Nutrition paste?" Maria repeated. "You mean like baby food?" "It is efficient," Kethvar said defensively. "It contains all required nutrients. No waste, no excess." "But what does it taste like?" asked Carlos Silva. The aliens looked at each other as if the question made no sense. "Taste?" Velthas asked. "It tastes like food. It has no particular flavor." Kevin Adams was beginning to understand. "Captain, I think they have never experienced seasoned food before. Look at their reaction to the smells." Jake looked at the alien warriors again. They were still standing in the doorway, afraid to come closer. Their eyes were fixed on the grills where meat sizzled and popped. "Please," Jake said gently, "come and sit down. Let us show you what a human feast is like." "War Marshal." Kethvar took one small step forward, then stopped. "The smells are overwhelming. How do you concentrate with such sensory assault?" "Sensory assault," Lisa repeated. "You mean the smell of cooking food?" "It is too much," Jexhan said. "How do you think clearly with such distractions?" Maria Rodriguez was getting upset. "Distractions? This is the best meal I have ever prepared." "Peace, Maria," Jake said softly. Then he turned to the aliens. "These smells are normal for us, pleasant even. We enjoy them." "Enjoy?" Kethvar looked shocked. "You find pleasure in eating?" "Of course," Jake said. "Do you not?" "Eating is for survival," the War Marshal explained. "Pleasure comes from victory in battle, from conquest, from proving your strength." Ryan Bennett whispered to Tony Clark. "No wonder they look so serious all the time. They have never enjoyed a good meal." The smell from the grills was getting stronger as more meat was added. The aliens were breathing heavier now, almost panting. Some of them were leaning against the wall for support. "Captain," Dr. Nicole Foster said quietly, "I think they are having some kind of sensory overload. Their nervous systems are not used to processing complex smells." "What should we do?" Jake asked. "Maybe we should serve smaller portions first. Let them adjust slowly." Jake nodded and walked carefully toward War Marshal Kethvar. "Would you like to try just a small piece of meat, to see what it tastes like?" The alien leader looked terrified. Is it safe?" "Very safe," Jake promised. "We eat this food every day." Kethvar looked at his warriors. They all looked back at him with fear and confusion. None of them knew what to do. Finally, Velthas, the youngest warrior, spoke up. "War Marshal, we came here to observe human customs. Perhaps we should try." "Yes," Kethvar said slowly. We must be brave. Even if this strange food kills us, we will die as warriors. Jake realized then that these aliens thought human food might actually be dangerous. They had no idea what they were about to experience. Dr. Kevin Adams moved slowly toward War Marshal Kethvar. He carried a small plate with a single piece of grilled chicken on it. The meat had been cooked perfectly and seasoned with herbs and spices. "This is chicken," Kevin explained. "It is a bird from our planet, very safe to eat." Kethvar stared at the plate like it might explode, his 4 eyes focused on the golden brown meat. "It smells like nothing I have ever experienced." "That is because it has been seasoned," Chef Maria Rodriguez said. "I used garlic, pepper, salt, and herbs to make it taste better." "You changed the food?" asked Jexon. "Why?" "To make it more enjoyable," Maria explained. "Food should taste good." Sub-Commander Velthos was still shaking. "War Marshal, how can creatures who spend time making food taste good be warriors? This shows they care more about comfort than survival." Captain Jake Martinez heard this and realized the aliens completely misunderstood what they were seeing. "War Marshal, may I ask you something? What do you eat on your home planet?" "I told you, nutrition paste. It is made from processed plants and proteins. It gives us everything we need to fight and survive." "But what did your people eat before you had technology to make paste?" Jake asked. Kethvar thought for a moment. "Raw plants, sometimes raw meat when we could hunt successfully. But food was always scarce. Most of our time was spent finding enough nutrition to live." Dr. Adams nodded. "And your planet? What is it like?" "Harsh. Dry. Few plants grow there. Animals are rare and dangerous to hunt. Only the strongest survive." Jake was beginning to understand. "So your people became warriors, because you had to fight for every meal?" "Yes," Kethvar said. "Every day was a battle for survival. The weak died. The strong lived to fight another day." Amy Parker was still listening to the alien communications through her equipment. "Captain," she whispered, "they are saying that any species with enough resources to waste time making food taste good must be incredibly powerful." This surprised Jake. "Waste time?" Lisa Thompson stepped forward. "War Marshal, humans do not see cooking as wasting time. We see it as important for our society." "How can decorating food be important?" asked another warrior. Maria Rodriguez felt insulted. "It is not just decorating. Cooking brings people together. It shows care and love. When I cook for someone, I am telling them they matter to me." The aliens looked at each other with confusion. Love? Care? These concepts seemed strange to them. "On our world," Kethvar explained, "there is no time for such things. You eat what you can find when you can find it. Then you prepare for the next battle." "But we are not at war," Jake said. "Earth is peaceful now. We have time to enjoy life." "Peaceful?" Velthus repeated. "But you said your planet was dangerous." "It has dangerous animals and weather," Kevin Adams explained. "But humans learned to work together. We built safe cities. We grew plenty of food. We made our world less dangerous. You see. Conquered your entire planet?" Kethvar asked, and for the first time he sounded impressed. "In a way, yes. Not through war, but through cooperation and intelligence." The War Marshal stared at the piece of chicken again. "So this food, it represents your victory over your world?" "Sort of," Jake said. "It represents that we won the fight for survival so completely that we can now enjoy our food instead of just surviving on it." This statement hit the aliens like a physical blow. Jexon actually stumbled backward. "You won so completely that you can afford to spend extra resources on making eating pleasant?" "Yes," Maria said proudly. "We have so much food that we can choose what tastes best, not just what keeps us alive." Dr. Nicole Foster was watching the alien vital signs on her medical scanner. "Captain, their stress levels are off the charts. I think they are realizing something important." War Marshal Kethvar's voice was very quiet when he spoke again. "In our empire, we measure strength by how many enemies you can defeat in battle. But you measure strength by how much you can enjoy life? Both are important, Jake said. We can fight when we need to, but we prefer to build, create, and enjoy what we have built. Veltas was staring at the tables full of food. All of these different smells and colors, this is just a normal meal for you? This is actually special because you are our guests, Jake explained. But yes, we eat varied, flavorful food every day. Every day? Keithavar repeated. Your people eat food this complex every day? Most days, Maria confirmed. Sometimes simple meals, sometimes fancy ones. But always with flavor. The aliens were quiet for a long moment. Finally, Keithavar spoke. We have made an error in judgment. What do you mean? Jake asked. We thought you were weak because you are small and soft, but a species that has so completely mastered survival that they can turn eating into art, such a species must be incredibly powerful. Amy Parker looked up from her translation equipment. Captain, they are saying in their own language that humans must be the most successful species they have ever encountered. Jake felt a moment of pride, but also confusion. War Marshal, we are just sharing a meal with you. This is normal for us. That, Keithavar said, is exactly what makes it so terrifying. Dr. Adams picked up the plate with the chicken again. Would you like to try it? Just a small bite? War Marshal Keithavar looked at his warriors. They all nodded slowly. If we are to understand the true power of humans, we must experience this feast. Velta stepped forward first. I will try it, War Marshal. If humans can eat this food and still be strong enough to conquer their world, then it cannot be harmful. Kevin handed him the fork with a small piece of chicken on it. The young alien warrior held it carefully, as if it were a dangerous weapon. Just put it in your mouth and chew, Kevin instructed. Velthas did as he was told. The moment the seasoned chicken touched his tongue, his eyes went wide. He chewed slowly, his expression changing from fear to amazement to something close to religious awe. Then he fell to his knees. The other Zephyrian warriors immediately drew their weapons, thinking their comrade had been poisoned. But Velthas was not dying, he was crying. By the sacred claws of our ancestors, he whispered, I never knew food could be like this. The sight of Subcommander Velthas on his knees, tears streaming from his 4 eyes, shocked everyone in the room. The other Zephyrian warriors had never seen one of their own cry. In their culture, tears were a sign of defeat. Velthas, War Marshal, Keithavar shouted, stand up, do not show weakness to the humans. But Velthas could not stand. He was overwhelmed by the taste of properly seasoned food. War Marshal, he said through his tears, this is not weakness, this is wonder. I never knew such flavors existed. Captain Jake Martinez realized he was witnessing something historic. These alien warriors who had conquered dozens of worlds were being defeated by a piece of grilled chicken. It is all right, Jake said gently to War Marshal Keithavar. There is no shame in enjoying good food. Please, try some yourself. Keithavar looked down at his youngest warrior who was still on his knees, holding the fork like it was made of gold. Slowly, the War Marshal reached out and took a piece of meat from Dr. Adams. The moment it touched his tongue, Keithavar understood everything. The complex flavors, the perfect seasoning, the tender texture. It was like experiencing color for the first time after a lifetime of seeing only black and white. Impossible, he whispered. How do you concentrate on anything else when food can taste like this? Chef Maria Rodriguez smiled proudly. You learn to appreciate it without being distracted by it. Good food makes life better, but it does not make us weak. The other Zephyrian warriors, seeing their leader's reactions, cautiously tried small pieces of different foods. Each one had the same response: amazement, confusion, and a deep realization that they had underestimated humanity completely. Jexhan tried a potato skin with cheese and bacon. His claws retracted immediately and he sat down heavily in a chair. This is what you call a side dish? He asked in disbelief. One of many, said Tony Clark, bringing out more plates of food. Amy Parker was still monitoring the alien communications. Captain, They are discussing how this changes everything. They are saying that any species capable of this level of culinary sophistication must have resources and organizational skills beyond anything they have seen. War Marshal Kethvar slowly stood up from the table where he had been sitting and tasting different foods. His armor, which had seemed so intimidating before, now made him look like a child playing dress-up. "Captain Martinez," he said formally, "I must apologize to you and your people." "Apologize? For what?" "We came here believing humans were weak. We thought your small size and soft skin meant you were not worthy of respect. We were wrong." Jake nodded. "Different species show strength in different ways." "No," Kethvar said firmly. "You do not understand. We have spent our entire existence fighting for basic survival. Every meal was a struggle. Every day was a battle just to find enough nutrition to live. But you have moved so far beyond survival that you have turned eating into an art form." Lisa Thompson stepped forward. "War Marshal, this is just how humans live. We have always believed that life should be about more than just surviving." "That is what makes you so powerful," Velta said, finally standing up. "A species that can afford to spend time and resources making food beautiful and delicious must have unlimited wealth and perfect organization." Dr. Kevin Adams laughed. "We are not that wealthy or organized. We just learned to work together well, enough to have abundance instead of scarcity." "Abundance," Kethvar repeated the word like it was sacred. "You have so much food that you can choose what tastes best instead of eating whatever you can find." "Yes," said Maria Rodriguez. "And we share it with friends and guests. Food brings people together." The War Marshal was quiet for a long moment, thinking. Finally, he spoke. "Captain, I must change my report to the Empire." "What will you tell them?" "I will tell them that humans are not the weak species we expected. I will tell them that you have achieved something we thought was impossible." "What is that?" "You have won, completely. You have defeated your environment so thoroughly that you can spend time and energy on pleasure instead of survival. That is not weakness. That is the ultimate victory." Carlos Silva brought out the dessert, fresh apple, pie with ice cream. The smell filled the room and the alien's eyes went wide again. "There is more?" Jexhan asked in amazement. "This is dessert," Maria explained. "Sweet food we eat at the end of a meal, just for enjoyment." "Just for enjoyment?" Kethvar repeated. "You eat food that serves no survival purpose except to taste good?" "Exactly." The War Marshal shook his head in disbelief. "We have been thinking about strength all wrong. We thought the strongest species would be the one with the biggest weapons and the most warriors. But true strength is having so much security that you can afford to enjoy life." Dr. Nicole Foster approached with her medical scanner. "With your permission, War Marshal, I would like to monitor your health as you try more foods. I want to make sure everything agrees with your system." "You are concerned for our health?" Kethvar asked, surprised. "Of course, you are our guests." This simple statement seemed to impact the aliens as much as the food had. "You care about the welfare of strangers?" "Not strangers," Jake corrected. "Potential friends." Amy Parker looked up from her translation equipment again. "Captain, they are discussing forming an alliance with humans. They want to learn about our agricultural techniques and cooking methods." Jake smiled. "War Marshal, would the Zephyrian Empire be interested in a cultural exchange program?" "Yes," Kethvar said immediately. "We want to learn everything. How do you grow so much food? How do you create these flavors? How do you organize a society that has moved beyond mere survival?" "We would be happy to teach you," Jake said. "And perhaps you can teach us about your warrior traditions and military strategies." "It would be an honor," the War Marshal replied. "But I must warn you, once my people taste food like this, they may never want to go back to nutrition paste." "Maria?" Rodriguez laughed. "Then I will teach your cooks how to make real food." As the evening continued, the Zephyrian warriors tried every dish on the table. They asked countless questions about ingredients, cooking methods, and farming techniques. They were amazed by the concept of spices, herbs, and seasonings. By the end of the night, War Marshal Kethvar made an official announcement. The Zephyrian Empire wishes to form a permanent alliance with humanity. We offer our protection and military support in exchange for knowledge about agriculture, cooking, and what you call quality of life. Captain Jake Martinez raised his glass of water in a toast to new friendships and shared meals. The aliens, who had never made a toast before, copied the gesture awkwardly. To shared meals, Kethvar repeated. As the Zephyrians prepared to return to their ship, Veltas approached Chef Maria Rodriguez. "Cook Maria, will you teach me to make this food?" "Of course," Maria said warmly. "Cooking is best when shared with others." War Marshal Kethvar turned to Jake one final time. "Captain, we came here thinking we would be evaluating you for potential conquest. Instead, you have conquered us with nothing more than a meal." "The best victories," Jake replied, "are the ones where everyone wins." After the aliens left, the human crew cleaned up the dining room. Everyone was excited about what had happened, but also a little amazed. "Captain," Lisa Thompson said, "do you realize what just occurred? We accidentally became a galactic superpower through barbecue." Jake laughed. "Sometimes the best way to show your strength is not through weapons or threats, but by showing people what makes life worth living." Engineer Carlos Silva shook his head in wonder. "Wait until Earth finds out that we just formed an alliance with warrior aliens because they liked our food." "It is more than that," Dr. Adams said thoughtfully. "We showed them that true strength comes from creating abundance instead of just surviving scarcity." Amy Parker was writing her report of the evening's events. "How do I explain this to command?" Alien warriors stood paralyzed after seeing what Deathworlders call a feast. Then, formed an alliance because our food was too good? "Just tell the truth," Jake said. "Sometimes the most powerful weapon is kindness, and sometimes the best way to make allies is to invite them to dinner." As the New Horizon prepared to return to Earth, now with a Zephyrian escort as an honor, Guard Captain Jake Martinez looked out at the stars and smiled. Humanity had just taken its first step toward becoming a major player in galactic politics, all because they knew how to make a good meal. The title had proven true. Alien warriors had indeed stood paralyzed after seeing what humans called a feast. But more importantly, that feast had changed the course of history for both species.